The old cinema on Gravel's outskirts stood like a forgotten tomb. Its marquee rusted, letters dangling in the October fog. Ethan Morrow, a 34-year-old film archivist with a knack for obsession, pushed through its warped doors, the air thick with mildew and stale popcorn. He'd been hired to catalog the theater's abandoned reels before its demolition, a job that suited his reclusive nature. Ethan's life had unraveled after his Mara left him 2 years ago. Blaming his paranoia, she'd called him haunted by his own doubts. Now, alone, he sought solace in celluloid ghosts. In the projection booth, among cobwebs and cracked film cans, Ethan found an unmarked reel, its metal casing etched with jagged symbols that seemed to pulse under his flashlight. He loaded it into the ancient projector, curiosity overriding the unease prickling his skin. The screen flickered, casting a grainy image, a woman in a tattered dress, her face obscured, dancing in a circle of candles. The film's audio was a low hum, like a heartbeat, punctuated by whispers. "You see me." Ethan's chest tightened. The theater felt smaller, the shadows deeper. He stopped the projector, but the hum lingered, vibrating in his bones. Back at his cluttered apartment, the reel sat on his desk, its symbols glinting in the lamplight. Ethan couldn't shake the woman's image, her movements hypnotic yet wrong, like a puppet on frayed strings. He called his friend Cass, a sound engineer with a penchant for conspiracy theories, who'd grown up hearing Greyvale's ghost stories. "Sounds like some analog horror crap," Cass said, half joking. Ethan laughed, but his voice was hollow. That night, he dreamed of the woman, her face now Mara's, her eyes black voids. The whispers followed him into waking, soft and insistent. "You left me." Guilt clawed at him, Miraz. Departure was his fault, his paranoia pushing her away. The reel was in his bedroom now, though he swore he'd left it downstairs. Cass arrived the next morning, her headphones dangling, her energy a stark contrast to Ethan's sleepless pallor. The fog outside clung to Greyvale like a second skin, muffling the world. In the cinema's booth, Cass examined the reel, her fingers tracing the symbols. "These look ritualistic," she said, her voice uneasy. She'd lost her brother to a cult years ago, a wound she hid behind sarcasm. Ethan restarted the projector, the screen flaring to life. The woman danced again, but now her movements were jagged, her obscured face tilting toward the camera. The whispers grew clearer. "You owe me." The projector shuddered, and the screen flickered with static, showing glimpses of Ethan's apartment, his face, his life. They brought in Lila, a local historian obsessed with Greyvale's occult past, her sharp eyes gleaming with curiosity. Lila recognized the symbols from a 1920s cult, the Order of the Hollow, who worshipped an entity they called the Weaver. They used film to summon it, she said, her voice low. "The reel traps souls." Ethan scoffed, but the theater's air grew heavy, the scent of burning celluloid stinging his nose. The whispers followed them to the lobby, where the old ticket booth creaked open, revealing a photo of Mara, her eyes scratched out. Ethan's heart raced. He hadn't brought that photo here. That night, the real played in Ethan's dreams. The woman's dance, now a spiral, her hands reaching through the screens. He woke to find the projector running in his living room, the reel spinning, though he hadn't touched it. The whispers were a chorus. Give me your pain. Ethan's paranoia surged. He was losing his grip, seeing Mara in every shadow, her voice accusing him of betrayal. Cass called, panicked. She'd heard the whispers too, speaking her brother's name. The theater was calling them back. The cinema felt alive now, its walls groaning, the fog seeping through cracked windows. Ethan's insomnia worsened, his reflection in the projector's lens showing not his face, but the woman's, her lips moving with the whispers. Lila's research uncovered a journal from an Order member, describing the Weaver as an entity that fed on guilt, binding victims through film. The real chooses its prey, she read, her hands trembling. Ethan's guilt was a beacon his paranoia had driven Mara away, leaving him isolated. Cass admitted her own shame. She'd ignored her brother's pleas for help, thinking he was delusional. The real knew their secrets. They tried to destroy it, but the real wouldn't burn, its metal casing cold and unyielding. The projector hummed to life on its own, the screen showing Ethan and Cass in the theater, as if filmed moments ago. The woman's dance was faster now, her face clear a mirage, but twisted, her eyes bleeding black. The whispers screamed, "You can't hide." Leela suggested a ritual to banish the Weaver, requiring blood to break the reel's hold. Ethan's skepticism cracked, his paranoia blending with reality. The theater's lights flickered, and the air grew thick with the scent of ash and wax. Cass found scratches on her arms, mirroring the reel's symbols. Ethan's appeared too, burning like fire. Lila, frantic, warned that the Weaver was waking, feeding on their pain. That night, Ethan heard footsteps in his apartment, heavy and deliberate. The reel was on his bed, the projector worry showing Mara's face, accusing, "You abandoned me." He smashed the projector, but the screen stayed alive, the woman's hands clawing through the static. Cass's scream echoed from her phone. She was back at the theater, unable to leave. The cinema was a labyrinth now, its corridors twisting, doors leading to nowhere. Ethan and Cass met Lila in the auditorium, where the screen played endlessly. The woman's dance, a frantic spiral. The air reeked of burning film and something sweeter, like rotting fruit. Lila chanted from the journal, her voice shaking as they drew a circle of salt around the projector. Ethan cut his palm, blood dripping onto the reel. But the whispers laughed. More. The screen showed Mara, then Cass's brother, their faces trapped in the film, pleading. Ethan's guilt overwhelmed him. He'd pushed Mara away, convinced she was lying, his paranoia poisoning their love. Cass confessed her own pain, tears streaming. She'd turned her brother away, thinking he'd survive without her. Be Real fed on their admissions, the symbols glowing brighter. Lila's eyes darted. She'd been too eager, too invested. Ethan realized she'd known about the real, had led them here. It needs a host, she admitted, her voice breaking. She'd lost her son to the Order, and the weaver promised his return. The screen flickered, showing Lila's son, his face distorted. The theater shook, the fog pouring in like a tide. The woman, the weaver, stepped from the screen, her form shifting, neither Mara nor human, her eyes endless voids. Ethan's reality unraveled. The cinema's walls bled static, the air thick with the weaver's presence. Cass was catatonic, muttering her brother's name, while Lila chanted desperately, trying to appease the entity. Ethan's scratches deepened, oozing black, the real's symbols carving into his skin. The whispers were his voice now, accusing himself of Mara's pain, of Cass's suffering. He saw them in the screen, trapped, their faces merging with the weaver's. Lila's betrayal cut deep. She'd known the real would claim them, hoping to trade their souls for her son's. They tried the ritual again, blood pooling on the real. But the weaver laughed, its form coiling in the fog. The screen showed Ethan's life, his fights with Mara, his isolation, his paranoia looping endlessly. Cass woke, grabbing Ethan's arm. "It wants us to give in," she whispered. They burned the journal, but the flames twisted, forming the weaver's face. Lila vanished into the fog, her screams echoing. Ethan and Cass were alone, the reel spinning, the whispers deafening. "You're mine." Ethan's guilt was a news. He'd destroyed his life, and now Cass's. The projector whirred, showing Mara's final moments, leaving him. The weaver fed on his despair, its form growing solid. Ethan realized the truth. The real didn't just trap souls, it rewrote them, weaving their pain into its film. He had to face his guilt, not flee it. The cinema was the weaver's domain now, its screen a portal, the fog alive with eyes. Ethan and Cass stood in the auditorium, the real pulsing like a heart. The weaver's form loomed, its voice a cacophony of their loved ones. "Join us." Ethan's paranoia had cost him Mara, but he wouldn't lose Cass. He grabbed the reel, its metal burning his hands, and spoke to it. "I see you, Weaver. I know my guilt, but it's mine." Cass joined him, her voice steady despite her fear, confessing her brother's loss. Their blood mixed on the reel, the ritual's words ringing true. "By truth, we sever you." The screen cracked, the weaver screaming as the fog recoiled. The reel shattered, its film unraveling into ash. The cinema groaned, collapsing into silence. Ethan and Cass stumbled into the dawn, the fog lifting, the theater a ruin. Lila was gone, her fate unknown. Ethan's guilt lingered, but it was human now, not the weaver's. They burned the projector's remains, vowing never to return. But in Ethan's dreams, the screen still flickered, the weaver's eyes watching from the static.